All right, time being 5:16 on February 13th, 2025, and quorum of members present. I'm going to call the Infrastructure and Facilities meeting to order. And we will start with agenda item number 1, consent agenda. Anything want to be pulled? Or?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, I have a motion to approve from Neil.
I'll second.
Second from Larson. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that passes. We'll move on to agenda item number 2, discussion of possible action on parking restrictions on North 10th Street between Franklin Street and McIndoe Street. Alder Neal, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
Yeah, I was responding to a constituent's concern. His family lives just one block further north off of 10th Street on Adams. So he makes this turn a lot. If you're looking at the photo provided, the aerial, that block on the lower left called 930 on Franklin Street, right from that corner heading north, there's a thick bunch of bushes for one thing, so you really can't see traffic on 10th Street readily until you're pretty much in 10th Street. There's a stop sign there that is a bus line, so if a bus were coming south there on 10th Street, conceivably there could be cars parked over there on the other side, on the east side of the street. And I have seen that myself, and the neighbor who contacted me sees it all the time. And if you're making that turn off of Franklin onto 10th, I mean, if there's any car there or bus or whatever, you could maybe be stopped, and have nowhere to go, or maybe somebody has to back up or whatever. So it's just a really bad thing. And I've seen 3 or 4 cars parked along just that one block on the east side of the street. Heading further north on 10th Street, that east side of the street is all no parking. So, and heading south on 10th, well, the street actually starts widening up a bit, and this is not seemingly a problem going south. But this block right here is just, it's hairy. So I'm definitely supporting this request from a constituent. And yeah, I've checked it out, and it's a very valid concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Alder Larson?
I'll make a motion to approve the parking restrictions
Okay, I have a motion to approve.
as listed in agenda item 2.
I have a motion to approve as
I'll
listed.
second it.
And second from Alder Neal. Any further discussion? I just had a question. Are there any driveways on those streets? They all appear to go out
No.
other ways.
Yeah, they're all around the corners. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Seeing no other comments, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are opposed, and that passes.
Thank you.
Yep. And then we'll move on to agenda item number 3, discussion on 2025 street reconstruction projects. I asked for this to be added on there, just we had that public comment a month and a half ago probably about what all goes into our street designs when we do streets, especially around schools, bike lanes, walking paths, and so forth. So I thought we would have some sort of discussion on it at least. TJ?
Yeah, so I think the main question was sort of around on Randolph, because we have the elementary school up there. So I'm just going to sort of go over what our plan is here for this road on Randolph and around the school, and then we'll take questions from there. We did bring this plan to the Bike Ped Committee in January, and they agreed with what our recommendations were, what we had in our plans. We did use the Safe Routes to School plan as sort of our template of what we did implement. So on Randolph, for the entire length of the street, we are going to be adding what's called an urban shoulder. That's where you have sort of like a shoulder marking. It'll be 7 foot off the face of the curb. And that will be used as sort of where Parking is allowed. It will be where cars can park, but also sort of be a used as a bike lane as well. Because the school is there, there's a lot of parking restrictions during the day, so most of that will be unparked. And the reason why we decided to go with the urban shoulder, because in the Safe Routes to School plan, it sort of suggested using urban shoulder and a combination of bike lanes, where it's only for bike lanes where it's parking restricted all the time. It'd just be a lot of jogging in and out, and I think it would create more confusion, where this will just have a cleaner look. We'll have center lines down the center of the road too, so it'll narrow up the feel of the traffic, sort of calm the traffic as well. So we thought that was a good alternative. And then we get to the crosswalks. So since I've been here, Alan and I have sort of come up with just a policy where if we are near schools and there are mid-block crossings or non-stop controlled crossings, we'll put the high visibility crossings. But if it is stop controlled, we're just putting our typical crosswalks in that you see throughout the city. So that's what we did here as well. At any stop controlled intersection, we have our typical crosswalk, and then we have a few mid-blocks or non-stop controlled where we have the high visibility crossings. And then one final recommendation that we are looking to implement, and we'll bring this back to the committee, is on the last page. You'll see where we have those two large culverts going underneath the road. We have a driveway on the north side of the road. It's a 12-foot driveway. And the recommendation was, because there's no bike lanes on Burek, and there weren't any on Randolph, and that's sort of a blind corner for any bikers that are going on there. So the recommendation was to allow bikes on the sidewalk on that north side, and that driveway would allow for the bikers that are using the sidewalk to then come back onto the road where the urban shoulder starts. So the bicycle use permitted on the sidewalk would only be through that curve. And then there's a driveway for the parking lot on the north up on Burek that you don't see on this plan sheet. But we'll bring that next month. That was recommended in the Safe Routes to School and also by the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee. So if there's any questions regarding this plan or any broader questions on how we review our streets and pavement markings or crosswalks on any other projects?
I got a couple questions, I guess. One of them is, well, I guess we'll start here on the last page here where you mentioned the blind intersection where Burek transitions into Randolph Street. You proposing that bicycles would be able to use the sidewalk. Would that be cyclists going, I guess that would be west on Randolph towards the, make sure I got my directionals. Yeah, west on Randolph. So cyclists traveling from Burek to Randolph, they would transition to the sidewalk and then through around that intersection and culvert, and then return to the roadway at the driveway on I think that's at the I'm guessing at the Jędrzejewski property there. I see there's where there's a driveway marking. Or is there a driveway marking right at the culvert?
Yeah, it's right at the culvert.
Oh, right. Okay, I see it right at the culvert there.
Yes.
And so then cyclists traveling east on Randolph to Burek, they would just maintain their path on the roadway.
Right.
Okay. Is there a transition point then on Burek to get to the sidewalk?
Are you talking if you're heading east on Burek?
If you're on east on Burek, yeah. Is there a spot to?
There is, as you're getting into that curve.
Okay.
Where you can go down to the trail that heads south. But the recommendation was only really to allow bikers on that north side.
North side, westbound traffic.
Correct.
Okay. And then the rest of Randolph Street, you said it's going to have an urban shoulder, but no bike lane, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
anything else? I guess my question, so Bike and Ped kind of brought this before us. Are there other committees, I guess, that we're not thinking of that could be making recommendations like this? You don't have to have the answer for me right now. Just try and avoid it in the future. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but
No, and I think we've talked, I forget the chairperson's name for the Bike Ped Committee.
Well, Andrew, or no, John is the
yeah.
civilian person, yeah.
We did talk to him after, and I think, he's his first year getting his feet wet, and I think he'll, bring things more through Bike Ped Committee, and I think that's the right direction or path to go through.
okay. Any other questions? Comments? Okay, we don't have any action agendized for that one, so we'll move on to adjournment. Motion to adjourn from...
No,
oh,
wait, no,
oh,
no, no. I have a couple things possibly for future agenda items.
Okay, I'll...
First off, we talked, and Eric, has the hospital, not the hospital, have they gotten back to us about that rental agreement for the use of the mall parking ramp?
That's in legal office right now. We
Okay.
haven't seen it yet. As soon as it gets to ours, then we'll go ahead and put that
Okay.
on an agenda.
And another question was, I watch the TV and I see the fire department, making plans for a new building, and I see last night the bus department, now they want a new building, and everybody wants a new building, but in my opinion, they have to stand in line because, we're working with this DPW facility, which is extremely outdated. And I was just wondering if we could possibly get monthly updates as to how we're coming on gaining that access to that site and stuff, and how, so we keep things moving forward instead of just being lackadaisical and just not, and forgetting about it.
Yeah, I can certainly, discuss where things are at every month. That's not a problem. Yep.
I think that would be
Yep.
a good thing. And also, I was also talking with the chair that, in the new descriptions of our committees, it says, we should be disbursement of city-owned property. And I thought that, I don't know if it's this committee or the Economic and Development Committee, or if we should have a joint meeting about getting a list of these city infill sites and possibly hiring a realtor and putting them up for sale, so we can move forward and put these things on the tax roll. I mean, it's for me, I've been around here long enough, and you guys too, everybody here has been around long enough to know that we've tried putting affordable housing, doesn't always work unless you have federal dollars, and it just doesn't seem that we can do anything with these lots unless we have some kind of subsidized money. And so perhaps we should just put some of these up for sale in the private market, and maybe we could learn something from them.
I will work with a chair from Economic Development and see if we can get a joint meeting, either take our meeting spot or their meeting spot, and have that on the agenda.
I think that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yep. And I would just like to say we're going to have a special infrastructure and facilities meeting next Thursday, February 20th at 5:15 to discuss some items that have come up recently. And maybe a couple of yours if if they get through legal in time. That being said, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Motion from Neal, second from Watson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you.